All right, guys, sorry about that. I had to make a part 2 of my video. So in today's main classwork folder, you have an assignment called Unit 1, Lesson 1 to 5, Practice Set A. That is your independent practice for today, and it's what we spent a bunch of class time working on. So go ahead and make sure you open up that ClassKick document and unpause the video once it's open so that you can follow along. Okay, so let's go through a couple of the problems together just to help you get started. Question 1 says, the second H-shaped polygon is a scale copy of the first. A says, show one pair of corresponding points and two pairs of corresponding sides in the original polygon in its copy. And it says, consider using colored pencils to highlight the corresponding parts or labeling some of the vertices. Now on ClassKick, you can change the color of the pen, so that should be helpful. I just want to remind you what that word corresponding means. Let's say I labeled this point A, and I labeled this point X. Points A and X are corresponding because they're in the exact same place on the scaled copies. Similarly, if I drew a line here and I labeled this point B, and drew a line here and labeled this point Y, the line AB corresponds to the line XY. Now the same thing is true for angles, right? If I labeled an angle here, N, and I labeled an angle here, O, angles N and O are corresponding. Now I want you to pause this video and answer question A. In other words, identify your own, so not what I did, but your own corresponding sides and angles on these shapes. Unpause the video when you come back. Okay, so you should have answered question A. Let's talk about B. Which scale factor takes the polygon to its smaller copy? Explain or show your reasoning. Remember that a scale factor is the number that we have to multiply every side by to move from the original to the scale copy. So we can choose to look at any sides to help us. For example, we know that the height of the H-shaped polygon, and remember this is the original, is 5. And the height of the scale copy is about 2.5. And when I say 2.5, I should say 1.5. Maybe 1.25. So I just got tripped up there for a second because this little piece is hard to measure. So let's try to find a piece that's easier to measure so we can find our scale copy more accurately. Okay, this piece of the polygon is 4 units wide, and the corresponding piece here is 1. Okay, that's going to be much easier because these are in complete units. We're moving from 4 to 1 in the scale copy, whereas when I was writing in red, I got a little confused because this was hard to measure precisely. So let's think this through. I know that my scale factor is whatever I have to multiply my original side length by to produce my scale copy. And 1 is the side on my scaled copy. So the question is, 4 times what number equals 1? This is your job to find. What is this mystery number? And this number right here is the scale factor, because that is the number that we multiply the side lengths of the original by to produce the side lengths of the scale copy. So make sure you pause this video to answer question B. Okay, let's move on to number 2. The first question of number 2 asks us, what is the scale factor from polygon A to polygon B? So we're doing the exact same thing that we just did in the last question. We can see that the corresponding side in A is 2.5 and in B it's 5. So question A is asking us, what is the scale factor? Or what did we need to multiply to get from 2.5 to 5? 2.5 times some number equals 5. Then in parts B and C, it's your job to find the missing length of each side. What are these question marks? And what are just the lengths for B? Remember that whatever scale copy we use to get from 2.5 to 5 will be the same scale factor that we use to get from 1.5 to some number and 2.5 to some number. Now for C, it says determine the measure of each angle. If you're stuck on C, go back to the last video. 2 things need to be true about scale copies. The sides need to be multiplied by the scale factor, and the angles need to be something. If you don't remember, go back to that video. So pause, work on question 2, and come back when you're done. Okay, question 3. Draw a scale copy of the polygon with a scale factor of 3. You're going to do this independently, but I want to remind you that the best place to start is to label those side lengths. Because remember, the scale factor is what you're multiplying each side length by. So if you know what all of the side lengths are when you start, it's going to be a lot easier to produce the scale copy. Okay, that's everything for class today on Friday, September 24th. If you need help or have questions, remember to send me an email.